If you just joined us on the System After Dark, this is a homegrown number courtesy of E3 and Cracker. Bulla, how's it going? I'm D, your host on the System After Dark, right here on Today FM. Today's hit music. You can catch me weeknights at 7 p.m. That's from Monday to Friday, only on the home of Today's hit music. And don't forget, that's D with you every weeknight on the System After Dark. Even got that homebrew flowing.
In this bulletin, no drought. Weatherman says current long dry spell has not reached critical stage. Growing political intolerance cases worry Fiji police force. And impressive turnouts at polling centres with only 5 days to go for pre-polling. Good evening, I'm Jackie Spate and this is FBC News. Fiji's top weatherman says the meteorological drought being experienced in Fiji has not reached a critical stage. Most parts of Fiji have started to receive rainfall in the past few days. However, the long dry spell is still expected to continue throughout the year. Akusita Tale reports.
There is no drought and no El Nino in place, and Fiji's weatherman says despite a meteorological drought resulting in below normal rainfall for an extended period, the situation is not critical yet.
As far as water supply and power generation are concerned, with the Monasawu Dam and the water supply dams, the levels are still healthy. But as I said, the expectations as we move into our wet season, from December and onwards, is at the extension of this dry period.
The forecast for rain for the whole of Fiji is currently average to below average rainfall and is expected to continue in the next 3 months.
What we are experiencing right now is weather that usually affects New Zealand is now impacting us. So when we're moving to our summer into December, all this weather are going to go down as the sun moves onto us or over us from the north, where it is at the moment.
Most of the West experienced a slight drizzle today, and there hasn't been any reports of any significant rainfall elsewhere.
It's been held back by a very strong area of high pressure to the east of Fiji and also to south of Fiji. It's blocking this whole thing from coming across, and it's also eating away the energy that should have produced the rain over Fiji. So that's the trough, and all the cloud is just cloud without much rain to Fiji.
The West has been the driest since June this year, with the north of the country starting its dry spell in July. The Central Division started experiencing the long dry last month. The Fiji Meteorological Office says temperatures are expected to become warmer at this time of the year. Akusita Tale, FBC News.
We now cross over live to our West Office, Akusita. Despite the unbearable heat and no rainfall for the past months, you can confirm there's no drought or El Nino in place?
Yes, Jackie, the Fiji Meteorological Office has confirmed this afternoon that there is no drought or El Nino in place. However, they are advising Fijians to take one day at a time and not to panic. Today's weather in the west was different from the past months, with dark gloomy clouds covering Nadi, Lautoka and most parts of the west. Wangadelua says rain clouds are present but is yet to fall over Fiji. This indicates the strength of the potential El Nino that's also struggling to establish itself across the Pacific. Its impact on Fiji is resulting in below average rainfall for the last 3 months, and this is expected to continue over the next 3 months, Jackie.
Thanks for that, Ako. The Media Industry and Development Authority is appealing to all Fijians to refrain from using the media, including social media, to incite violence through the use of inflammatory language with intention to intimidate voters. MIDA Chair Ashwin Raj says this could result in the erosion of stability, safety and security of the voters. Raj also expressed his concerns about reports of death threats made against journalists. He's reiterated that the Fijian media has the right to report without any fear and intimidation.
The media must also remain independent, give equal access to all political actors, must not be seen as aiding and abetting the political agenda of one political party over others, to declare their ideological disposition, if any, and substantiate their reports with facts.
Meanwhile, media companies have also been reminded not to publish the result of any election-related opinion polls until the close of polling next Wednesday evening. The Fiji police is concerned about the growing political intolerance and the number of people who have been breaching the law. Ellen Stahls reports the police is promising to take action against those who knowingly break the law.
Police Commissioner Ben Hunavad says the growing destruction and irresponsible behaviour so close to Election Day is a worry.
We must accept that it seems that there are more intolerance coming to the fore. Cases that's not been reported, but people that are damaging the election material of other political parties, putting theirs over the other parties, putting their electoral pamphlets on places that are prohibited in terms of the decree.
A total of 9 cases have been reported to the police, and while all cases are forwarded to FICAC, Hunavad says people have to take these matters more seriously.
And I think that it is time that our community realize that we will take harsh steps if any complaint is being lodged against political intolerance.
The police commissioner addressed 385 police personnel plus 125 reserve officers who will be deployed this weekend to various divisions in Fiji for election duties.
The police commissioner also reminded the police officers that are being deployed to different parts of Fiji that the role that they play is very important in terms of having a fair and free election.
The eyes of the world will be on us. Make yourself and Fiji proud.
The police officers being deployed to various divisions will return 2 days after Election Day to ensure security and stability. Ellen Stahls, FBC News.
Week 2 pre-polling continues in the Western Division. Today, 13 centres were open. 2 centres were for military officers in the Nandi and Lautoka camps, while a pre-polling station was set up for inmates at the Lautoka Correction Centre. Christopher Chand reports.
It's day 7 of pre-polling. Although most of the centres are concentrated on remote areas, it was also an opportunity for our men in uniform to have their say. 59 soldiers are registered to vote here at the Fiji Military Forces Nandi camp in Namaka. Pre-polling started at 9 a.m. Within the first hour, more than 40 soldiers had cast their votes.
It is important for me to vote for, because we've been waiting for the past 7 years, to vote for a country that can lead us in the next year to come, for our children and for our grandchildren afterwards.
It's important because I'm a citizen of this country. If I want to help build my country, then I had to vote.
Many of these officers are glad they voted before Elections Day on September 17th.
The ballot papers are very helpful because we already know which person we have to vote because the numbers are there. It is very easy for you to come inside, just a tick and a circle and a cross.
Inmates from the Lautoka Correction Centre got their chance to vote. This station set up at the prison hall as a pre-polling venue. Prisons officials did not want to comment on the process, and we were informed that interviews with inmates were not allowed. However, they were given the opportunity to exercise their voting right. Pre-polling at the Lautoka Correction Centre has just concluded. It was held for 3 hours. Out of the 27 registered, 18 cast their votes. Behind me, an elections office vehicle has just arrived to pick up the ballot box, which will be taken from here to a storage facility in Lautoka. Christopher Chand, FBC News.
Voter turnout for pre-polling continues to be impressive. Naloto village in Tailevu is one of the centres that catered for pre-polling, with more than 150 people voting today. Watisoni Rakandroka with this report.
The long and dusty ride to Naloto in Verata on the Tailevu coast is a 40-minute drive from Korobo town. Voters like Thomas Itoroda were at the centre from early this morning, eager to vote for the first time in more than 8 years.
Voting this year is easier than the last time because the process is done here in the village.
We no longer travel again to vote. Special arrangements have been made to accommodate voters who have special needs. I've already told the villagers that the elections team will accommodate voters who need special help. About 150 people, most of whom are farmers and fishermen, have voted here. The center at Naloto village is one of about 100 other polling stations that open today. The people of Naloto say they have cast their votes in the hope of a better future. A future which will lead to more development for their small village. What is Sonny Rekanroka, FBC News.
Chanel Sivan is standing by with Supervisor of Elections Mohammed Sanim at the storage facility in Wailekutulami to give us more details.
Tonight we are here at the tonight we are here at the secure facility of the elections office in Wailekutu in Lami, and tonight we have got the Supervisor of Elections, Mr. Mohammed Sanim. Mr. Sanim, first of all, tonight on FBC News, would you be able to give us a quick update of day 7 of pre-polling?
Yes, yesterday we operated 47 pre-polling stations for some 4,800 voters, and today today we operated 47 polling stations for 4,800 voters, and tomorrow we'll be operating 41 polling stations for the same number of voters. Pre-polling went on schedule everywhere except for Vallumbalavu. We are still facing some problems, so what we are doing is the schedules for today have moved to tomorrow to allow the people to get together and also for the teams to reach places on time.
Parani, we are here at the secure facility of the elections office. What are we seeing here?
In our secure facility, we've got all our polling equipment and kits, and the ballot paper and the envelopes and everything is here. And as you can see in the background, our team is currently doing packing for the 274 polling stations in the north, and these are to be transported across early in tomorrow to the north, so that the teams can in the north be prepared for polling, and then after that they're going to start packing for central and western divisions. And behind us in these 4 containers are equipment for the northern division, and we will be continuing our packaging for all the 17th September polling stations.
Thank you very much, sir, for speaking with us.
Thank you.
Jackie.
Coming up after the break, political party campaigning to end 48 hours before election day.
Bula FM nambando na serene wasiningo na nibotara ni sibiti ko weekend na diwa na tini na miniti na may pakuriti wala beng grabe na nontan nonongo kanda na dapat ko ani no nakaloko ene ka benden deba buli na teng bali ni may dapat ko na wani matakabo kan lib serti ko na biser tali oni na namaka do batat ko may kinen na kenan daw ro di kanamaki bula binaka ayo salamilawa do batat ko yawa na patara na wani dio na kaloko moni tiki na barumbuka ena Bula FM nambandua ena serene.
Welcome back. This is FBC News. All elections campaigning must stop 48 hours prior to polling day, as stated in the electoral decree. This means no political party can broadcast, advertise, publicize or distribute any campaign material from 7:30 a.m. Monday the 15th of September. Chanel Sivan has more.
Under the electoral decree section 63, it states all campaigning must stop 48 hours prior to elections. Political parties also can't display slogans, banners, posters, flags or party colors during this time. This would mean that the 48-hour period ends on 7:30 a.m. Wednesday, 17 September, on Elections Day. According to the Supervisor of Elections, Mohammed Sanim, no campaigning is allowed on Elections Day either. He says the Fiji Independent Commission Against Corruption will be monitoring this next week.
Every Fijian has the right to police that, but the relevant prosecuting authority is FICAC. So any Fijian can make a complaint about it, and it will have to be referred to FICAC. Fijian Elections Office might also be raised. We might also be referred to some of it by someone who's complaining. So in that regard, the Fijian Elections Office would then refer it to the prosecuting authority.
What this also means that all banners and stickers on buses and vehicles need to be put down, as well as any campaign material online.
Our advice to members of the public, to the political parties, to all those who manage social media pages, to ensure that they are not in breach of the decree, and they have to take their own proactive actions to ensure that they are not. And in that regard, they should read the provisions of the decree, obtain their own legal advice, because the Fijian Elections Office is not the prosecuting authority. It will be left to FICAC and police and the courts.
The Supervisor of Elections says political parties that have authorized the advertisement material should be responsible for putting it down. Chanel Shivan, FBC News.
Fiji Labour Party hopeful Stephen Singh's case has been struck out by the Suva High Court this afternoon. Singh and the FLP had filed proceedings against the Fijian Elections Office after his nomination as a candidate was rejected. Judge Justice Kamal Kumar struck out the case and ordered costs of $3,000 in favour of the election supervisor. Fiji's ambassador at large, Major General Yowana Naivalurua, says all efforts to release the Fijian peacekeepers held captive by the Al-Nusra Front rebel group are continuing. Naivalurua is in New York working with UN negotiators on the release of the Fijian troops. He says talks with all authorities have been progressive. Fiji Military Forces Commander Brigadier General Mosese Tikoitonga is confident the negotiations will secure the safe release of the troops who were taken captive 13 days ago. 2 of the 6 tourists who were injured in the jet boat accident in Singatoka yesterday have been discharged. The 4 remaining Australians are all in a stable condition at the Suva Private Hospital. Singatoka River Safari owner Jay White says the 4 are likely to be discharged either tomorrow or on Friday. However, White did not want to release further details about the accident, only saying they would issue a press release later. Police spokesperson Ananai Soro says the Maritime Safety Authority of Fiji was scheduled to carry out its inspection on the boat today, and police were going to interview the 23-year-old boat captain. 6 Australian tourists were airlifted to the Suva Private Hospital after the jet boat overturned near Chumbairata village in the Singatoka Valley yesterday morning. It's World Suicide Prevention Day today. In Fiji, over the last 8 months, 80 people have lost their lives to suicide, with another 78 people having attempted suicide. Maggie Boyle has more.
The statistics are sobering. Last year, police recorded a total suicide count of 178. Of this figure, 79 people took their own lives, with 99 having attempted suicide.
Well, there's a lot of stigma associated with mental illness already, and then you know from research that there's strong linkages between depression and suicide, and a lot of people are still afraid to talk about suicide and mental illness openly.
With limited resources, both in funding, support and expertise, the plague on suicide can seem all too overwhelming. But curbing the death toll is work in progress.
We work closely with St. Giles Hospital, a Psychiatric Survivors Association, Fiji Alliance for Mental Health, and we talk about our stories. So we share our personal stories and our experiences with other young people in communities. We're on Facebook, so we're on social media. We collaboratively also do mental health education in the communities as well as in schools.
Catherine adds, communication can be life-saving.
You're a young person, and if you're a young person with a lot of problems, culturally we don't give spaces for young people.
A candlelight vigil to remember those passed on will be held this evening at St. Pius Catholic Church in Raiwanga, Suva. Maggie Boyle, FBC News.
And here's Jamie now with the latest in sports.
Good evening. Up ahead in sports, the IRB to close loophole in rule that allows players to switch allegiance for the 2016 Olympics, and Ben Ryan to rely mainly on local-based players for IRB series. Details after the break.
देश की धड़कन 22 का प्रसारण कार्यक्रम में आपका स्वागत हम कर रहे हैं। सुंदर ये मौसम और ऐसे मौसम बहार में आप भी कार्यक्रम का आनंद उठा रहे हैं, आपको शामिल कर रहे हैं हमारे साथ में।
गुड मॉर्निंग आपको हम कहना चाहेंगे, अगर www.fbc.com.fj पर आप हमें सुन रहे हैं, हम सफर प्रोग्राम आपके लिए जारी है। सुबह 9 बजे तक हम आपका साथ देंगे। गुड मॉर्निंग आपको।
अपने दिन की शुरुआत हमारे साथ कीजिए। रेडियो पीजीटी पर हम सफर प्रोग्राम हर सुबह 6 से 9 बजे तक। जॉइन अस।
Welcome back to FBC Sports. The International Rugby Board will closely monitor a loophole in eligibility rules for the 2016 Olympics that allow players to switch country allegiance. The world body will clamp down on any potential abuse of the rules that may see players or nations using the loophole to feed players into the 15-man game. The new rule that was introduced for sevens in the Olympics allows players with dual nationality to apply to switch rugby nations on the condition that they have not played international rugby for 18 months and that they play for the new nation's sevens team in the 2014-15 IRB series. Meanwhile, Flying Fijians coach John McKee says they remain unaffected by the new development.
Oh, look, apart from the, when it initially came out in all the initial documentation and things from the IRB, a month or so ago, I haven't talked to Ben a lot about it. I mean, I think probably for Samoa, particularly, and maybe Tonga, they may be looking at it a bit more closely. I mean, for us, most of our players that would be eligible to come back are in positions that were quite strong in anyway. So, but certainly there's been expression from a number of players from overseas. I can tell you that who have contacted either myself or Ben.
Under the new rules, some players who Fiji could call upon are Lote Raikumbula, Savitokula, Rocky Khan, Luke Masirewa, Lote Tungiri, Joe Rokodoko, and Sitiveni Sivivatu. Meanwhile, as the Vodafone Fiji Sevens team continues its training in Pacific Harbour, Coach Ben Ryan says he will rely on his local-based players for the IRB series. The mentor says with interest shown by overseas reps, he has a squad in place from which he will select his final team for the Gold Coast tournament.
The bottom line, I think, has got to be that we give the homegrown, the island-based players a chance first, and if they go well in Gold Coast, or more importantly, I can see that they will go well in future tournaments, and that's where we'll stick with. But to be able to call upon some of the overseas boys if we need to, either through injury or because we need just that extra bit of quality, they're all discussions that I've already had with their clubs.
Ryan will name his reduced squad on Friday. The Nabosa Under-14 soccer team played its first game today in the primary school's IDC at the NZ Stadium. Making its debut not only in the tournament but at the venue as well was one of those moments the youngsters will cherish for ages. Rohit Deo has more.
It may be their first time in the tournament, but the willpower in the team is high. The Nabosa Under-14 soccer team remains unbeaten after 2 games and ambitions have been set high.
Just win. And our aim is to qualify for the finals. And we have asked all our boys to get together, bond together, and as a team we can do it.
The players fought hard to get a 0-0 draw against Nalawa in their first game before defeating Savu Savu by 2-1.
The game is hard because we try to do all our best.
It seems like the big guns will already have an open eye for these virtually unknowns who are living their dreams by playing in the capital. This is the 39th primary inter-district soccer tournament, and surprisingly for the first time it's held here in Suva. For majority of the players, it is the first time that they would have set foot in Suva. Definitely it's going to be a memorable one for most of them. Nabosa takes on Nasinu in their third pool match tomorrow before the showdown against host Suva in their final pool match. Rohit Deo for ABC Sports.
Meanwhile, Senganga was beaten 2-1 by Nandrunga in its opening under-14 match. The Northerners, who have high hopes for the tournament, will have to dig deep to stay in contention for the title. In other results, Suva won both its games after recording a 4-0 win over Savu and a 1-0 victory over Nasinu. Other teams had a mixed day and will need to work hard to make it to the knockout stages. Games continue tomorrow with the finals on Friday. The Courts Fiji Open Chess Championship this weekend will be played in a 20-minute format. The Fiji Chess Federation is organizing more tournaments in this format with the hope of seeing more local players receive international rankings. Charlie Ndautakadaka reports.
The Fiji Chess Federation is on a mission to see local players receive international rankings, and the Courts Fiji Open this weekend will be the first step to achieving that.
We have about 25 rapid rated players in Fiji, so what will happen is if there's new players, they will have to play around 9 rated games and they will have to beat some rapid rated players, and that will qualify them to get a rapid rating. So what we are trying to do is get a lot more internationally ranked players. What this means is whichever country they go in to play chess, they will have an international rating.
This weekend's tournament is expected to attract the top players in the country.
Well, Courts Fiji Open has been a very popular tournament for the past decade in Fiji. So we're expecting a lot of young players to come up. Maybe about 50-60 players would be a good turnout. And we have partnered with Courts Fiji for almost 10 years. And right now, for the past 3 years, we also get support from Tapu City Complex, who are providing the venue. So there is a lot of growth in local chess.
The tournament will be held on Sunday and will be an important event for local players looking to gain international ranking. Talento Dakadak, FBC Sports.
And that's it from Sports Tonight. Good evening.
Housing Authority has begun allocating lots at its Taviroi subdivision outside Suva to low-income earners. The former settlers of Namara have been given priority to the lots, which are part of Phase 1A. The authority's acting CEO Jagdish Prasad says the settlers lived at the site prior to the development in 2009. Prasad says the settlers willingly left and were promised opportunity to buy a lot once it was developed. More than 4,000 customers have shown interest in lots at the new subdivision. Weather time now with Trish.
Thanks, Jackie. Now with today's conditions, the capital Suva was the only center with cloudy skies in the morning, and towards the afternoon there were occasional showers. As a trough of low pressure remains to the west of the group, Nadi, Lotoka, Ba had cloudy skies all throughout the day. You folks up in the north, Lambasa and Savusavu also had cloudy skies all day. Temperatures Suva, Savusavu 26, Nadi 29, Lotoka 30 and Ba 31. Lambasa hit the highest with 32. Tonight, Ba, Lotoka, Nadi and Raki will drop to a chilly 17 degrees. Thursday's forecast, Suva might have partly cloudy skies in the morning with occasional showers in the afternoon. As for the rest of the remaining major centers, should have partly cloudy skies all throughout the day. For mariners, a strong wind warning remains in force for all local waters, southeast winds 20 to 15 knots and rough seas. A bird that we see almost everywhere is actually part of a type of Asian starling. This beautiful picture of a minor bird sent in by Wilson Chow.
Thanks so much for that, Trish. Before we leave our main stories, once again, no drought. Weatherman says current long dry spell has not reached critical stage. Growing political intolerance cases worry Fiji police force, and impressive turnouts at polling centres with only 5 days to go for pre-polling. Remember, you can send us newsworthy pictures and videos on email citizenseyes@fbc.com.fj or share it with us via Facebook page FBC News. And if you're on Twitter, follow and tweet us your news tips at FBC News or simply hashtag FBC News. That's all from us tonight. See you again tomorrow at the same time. Good evening.